Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time podcast with Mike and Laurent. We are growing in leaps and bounds, and you better believe it. It's Friday, December 17th. In this episode, City annihilate, smash Leeds, a legend's tearful goodbye. Sad. Chelsea sputter again and again and again. But first, Mike, are Spurs in the Premier League anymore? And is anyone going to play?
No, they're not. They now have three games in hand. You have
7 games in hand?
Yeah, but that's the thing. They don't keep. They're not even dropping in the table, which is sort of fun.
It's amazing.
They're staying right where they are.
I think we said this. I think you said this on Tuesday. So let's just run it back.
Yeah, exactly. But now they've got another game. It's actually staggering to look at the table and see games played 14 for them, whereas everybody else is either 16 or 17. So
yeah,
we think that they're going to play Liverpool this weekend. Word is that they were cleared to play on Thursday, and Leicester was not.
I see.
So it does seem plausible that they're going to be ready for Liverpool this weekend. And when I say ready, I mean physically.
The league could seriously just cancel the weekend. Also a possibility.
They very much could. I think we're down to 2 games on Saturday. And let's talk a little bit about that because I don't want to. You don't want to.
Can I do the scores?
Go whatever ones we have, and then we'll talk about what the hell is actually going on here.
All right, we're going to run through it. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Bing, bang, boom. Bang. First, Steven Gerrard defeats Aston Villa. Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa defeats Norwich 0-2. Norwich are terrible. Great goal by Ramsey. I think we talked about it yesterday. Then after that, Manchester City put a fucking ass whooping on Leeds. It was incredible. It was amazing. By the way, little note, City do this every week. Just this week, the goals went in. Then Wednesday, 2-2 Palace Southampton. The return of JWP with a killer goal. 2 amazing goals. But Palace really working together. Jordan Ayew scores his first goal in 75 games. He'd been working hard. I watched their games. He just can't score. Then Brighton falls apart. No atmosphere. Nothing. 0. Zilch. Wolves beats them 1-0. That was a terrible game. The less talked about it, the better. Then Mike believes in West Ham, but Arsenal is stronger. They get it done versus the Hammers. I watched this game. Martinelli, we liked him. We love him. He's exciting. Can he stay on the field? There's also a lot of Aubameyang stuff. The less talked about it, the better. It's narrative. It's bullshit. Today, Chelsea dropped points to Everton. Everton has nobody. They're playing 12 years old. They're playing people off the street. They're playing white guys with bad haircuts that are from Liverpool. Everton, go into Stamford Bridge and get the draw. Incredible stuff. Mason Mount misses more times than he'd like to admit, even though he did score a goal, his 4th in a row. Liverpool go down 1-0 to Newcastle from Voldemort, John Joe Shelby, in the only goal he ever scores. It's the same goal. It's the same one. Outside of the box, top bins, nobody moves. It's incredible. John Joe Shelby seems amazing. Then he's at fault for 2 other goals. Very Shelby. Liverpool wins. Very Shelby. Salah scores again. Jota scores again. I'm not worried for Liverpool. They're the best team and have the best 11 in the world. It's looking more and more and more like Liverpool City like 2 years ago. Mike, you had something to say about COVID?
Yeah.
That was the scores. We wrap it up. Go.
So we only have a few games this weekend. In fact, if I were to look at the matches right now, we have lost a United game.
By the way, they would have lost that game to Brentford.
No doubt about it. Been jazzed.
Night game in Brentford, forget about it.
That would have been one of our best bets of the week for sure. But so now a normal match week, right? A normal match week has 10 games.
Yeah.
And we sit here, and as you're listening to this, it's Friday morning, and there are 5 currently on the schedule. There's 1 in the 10 o'clock time slot in the East Coast, which is the 3 o'clock slot. The traditional nightish, the evening game, and then 3 on Sunday. And Tottenham Liverpool, as of now, is one of them. And it does sound like that will go on, which is great. But as we get through this festive period, or we kind of are still in the beginning of it, we're struggling with yet again the same things that we've been struggling with for the better part of the last 2 years.
It's awful. It sucks.
You're seeing it in every sport. You're seeing it in the NHL. You're seeing to a lesser extent in the NFL. But
NFL doesn't give a fuck.
Well, so that's sort of the point that I want to hit on. Is that there are different ways to do this. There are different ways to deal with it. And I'm not going to sit here and say this is right and this is wrong. No. What I want to talk about is I want to shine a light on how the English Premier League is working on things, how the NHL and how the NBA are doing things. And as a microcosm of the NHL, Canada, because tonight the Montreal Canadiens hosted the Philadelphia Flyers with no fans. Again, we're all the way
I thought
back
they
to
went
this.
to 50%.
No, that's the Maple Leafs and Senators. In Quebec, they went to zero, straight to zero.
Right, because it's a federal. They have states.
Sure, provinces, whatever. But the point is that there's a Stockholm syndrome here that has taken hold, and our comfort blanket is actually fear itself. Now, I'm not going to get into, again, what's inherently right or inherently wrong, because this, if anybody doesn't think that this is a whole hell of a lot of gray area, well, then you're being ridiculous.
It is a lot of gray area.
It's almost entirely gray. But the way that the NBA handles things and the way that the NHL handles things, and I'll start with that because I don't have an entirely good grasp on the Premier League, but based on the outbreaks and the clusters, if you will, per team, I have an idea. And I have an idea that it's similar to the NHL. The NBA only tests players who are vaccinated once a week or once a month. I can't remember exactly, but the point is that you're not shoving something in your nose every fucking day, right? The NHL, quite the contrary. In fact, this evening for the Colorado Avalanche game, their starting goaltender was scheduled to play. In warmups, he was taken off the ice. Now, he doesn't have any symptoms. He's not sick. But he is what they call asymptomatic. He has tested positive. Therefore, he must be taken away immediately. And not taken away, but you know what I mean. He's ineligible to play. Another player, a defenseman, Jack Johnson, who ironically stinks, former Ranger, he was waiting on the results of a second test so that if he could get a second negative test, he would be eligible to play. Now, he skated in the morning. He practiced with the team. He's been around the team. The problem I have, and when I get back to this Stockholm Syndrome piece, is that we are so vigilant and we're looking for reasons to disqualify, reasons to be overly cautious. And that's why I go back to the NBA where it's like, all right, you guys did the thing that we told you to do. We're not going to penalize you, right? Isn't that what we were told the whole time? So I get the feeling that the Premier League is much more like the NHL in the sense that they're testing all of the time. Now, it needs to be said that how many times do we lament international breaks, right? We have people shotgun spraying all over the fucking world to the point where if there's a petri dish, it's England, right?
Yeah,
like,
I find it, I think the difficult thing is like nobody knows. There's clearly some risk we have to take. There is not a clear stated, like some countries are trying to go zero. Some countries are accepting risk. Some countries are like whatever. Some states within the same country are. Some cities are different from other cities. Like California just went masks in the office. I'm like, you're okay? And I think the larger issue is, and it might go outside of sports, is when you discredit, and we have essentially discredited our institutions, everything becomes on the table, right? Yeah. You said don't wear masks. Now you're saying wear masks. You said if I get vaxxed, I don't have to wear a mask. But now I have to wear a mask. Now, I understand it's science, it's moving, things change, blah, 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 blah. But people aren't smart enough to change the narrative of the first thing they hear. You said this, and then you changed it, so you fucked me. The other one is the disconnect of like, oh, the Premier League can play. The stadium's full, no one's wearing a mask. But if 3 players get it, we have to shut down the game, or we have 9 players. Like, I understand the protocols and the rules and whatever, but if you go on the field and you take a test before the game and you're ready to go, you're ready to go. Just go. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I just want them to play, and I don't want to lock down, and I don't want no fans. And please don't do that. That's all I care about. The less we talk about it, the better.
It's hard because this is the best time of the year to be a Premier League supporter. I have a buddy of mine who I was talking to today, and he's like,
it's the best.
As long as I get the week between Christmas and New Year's, because I'm going to go on a bender like you've never seen. And I'm just going to he literally told me, he goes, I'm going to go to the pub. He actually lives in LA. I'm going to go to the pub and I'm going to get shit-faced every day between 12 and 5, and I'm just going to watch soccer. He doesn't even like the Premier League that much, and he loves this. Okay, so this is the reach that this festive period, if you will, has.
Because all the other leagues are done. This was their last weekend.
Aside from the fact that they run their fucking players into the ground, which is another topic entirely.
I don't care about that.
No, but it's arguably the most valuable time for the Premier League. And so the way that they're doing this, the way that they're governing this
Super Bowl week.
But it's the way that they're governing this legitimate crisis that we have. I understand. I'm not belittling at all. Is so inherently British because it's so devoid of an accountant. It's devoid of somebody being like, whoa. If ever there was a time for a little bit of restraint, it's right now.
I mean, I listened to Robbie Earl and Robbie Musto. They were conflicted. Robbie Earl was like, shut down the games, come back on Boxing Day. Just don't take any chances. I don't think that's going to make a difference.
We've come all the way back. We've come all the way back to 2 weeks to stop the spread. Yeah,
it's bullshit. Like, what are we talking about? We have treatment. Like, who cares? Let's play. I want to talk about fucking Everton and Chelsea.
Wait. So one more, and that's why wouldn't we just, again, going similarly to like the NBA, don't keep looking for trouble, right?
Yeah.
If you are sick, if you have symptoms, if you don't feel well, if you are questions, or if you're just a hypochondriac or on the team or whatever, then sure. Okay. But to mandate, and to be clear, I want to be very clear. I don't know that this is exactly what they're doing, but it feels an awful lot like
they don't mandate in England. Like some teams have only like 50% player vaccination.
No. Well, the vaccinations is another topic entirely. I'm talking about the tests, right?
Oh, I don't know about
that. It almost feels like they are inherently like daily testing.
Oh yeah. They're testing all the time. No doubt about that. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Now you're looking for trouble, right? Yeah. And so if you have a reason to have a test, then by all means, let's make sure we understand what's going on here. And even if you've quote unquote been around people and potentially infected other people, all right, that's an issue. Let's make sure that we have an understanding of what the situation is. I'm never in the camp of saying, oh my God, well, fuck it. Right? The problem is that each camp, by the way, and there are only two, there is no, despite the fact that it's mostly gray area, is completely, to your point, discrediting everything the other side is saying in pursuit of their truth, right?
Yeah.
And so,
and the other thing is, like I shared it with you, there's a real risk of something weird for young men. That's just real.
And listen, I don't.
I didn't know, but now I do. I'm like, wait a minute, something weird's happening.
I couldn't agree more, and I don't even want to get into that whole thing.
Yeah, and I'm going to get into it because City say goodbye.
Oh, well, that's right. That's a good segue.
Sergio Aguero, who I'm assuming was vaccinated, and out of the blue, he's been injured. I mean, City let him go appropriately.
He's broken down, right? He has knee injuries,
he's broken down, but he was gonna do the Messi thing, do the Barcelona thing. A month ago, he's on the pitch. He grabs his heart like, I can't breathe. 33 years old, one of the fittest guys you've ever seen.
Yep.
Physically, like running wise. And we find out he's got some heart arrhythmia that he didn't have for fucking 18 years.
Yeah.
And now his heart's fucked up. I don't know what that means. I don't know where it came from. All I'm saying is,
and we're projecting.
If I were a high-end fraction of a percent of athletes in the world, where I run on the perfectness of my body, I would not fuck with that thing, even if it drives people crazy. Or I would and just be like, I'm getting insurance. If something fucking happens to me, I want my money today.
Yeah.
Because this is it. This is how I make money for my generational, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you think Cristiano's got that fucking vaccine? Hell fucking no. He has other diseases from all the hookers he's had sex with.
I was gonna say Cristiano's got a melting pot of
By the way, he's having another set of twins. This is now like his 7th children.
Good. We need all of the genes.
All the Ronaldos.
We all dream of a team of Ronaldos,
Yeah. So
no, absolutely.
We've covered all the stuff. I mean, Aguero means a lot to me. I cried. I showed Lisa. I can't get past the Aguero goal. I watched it 5 times in the last hour. I watch it regularly. It makes me have goosebumps every time. It's the greatest moment in sports, and we can argue about it. It's the greatest moment in sports for me. It was the Rangers in '94, and then it became, and then Boone, and then '86 Mets. But it's definitely Aguero for me. And then, I think anytime he played Spurs was great because he fucking lit you guys up.
Except for from the penalty spot.
Yeah, I know that was one that you know what? All the other games didn't matter. Right?
Yeah,
that one miss saved
so
made it all okay. Means you can now love him forever.
My Sergio Aguero memories are missing the penalty at White Hart Lane in the first leg, and then everybody remembers him being offside in the 95th minute. That's my favorite Sergio Aguero memory.
Mine is the Villas Boas 5-goal game when you guys were playing a high line without pressing.
Yeah, that was not good. That was not good. Oh, AVB. Yeah. No, I mean, look, I told you, in our little chat, like, I was sad that he did his press conference. I was sad that he didn't do it the day before a City home game and then walk out at halftime and get the whole love. And I'm sure he will at some point.
They'll give him a statue. They've got the company statue. They've got the Silva statue.
They need him to have a statue.
Aguero will get a statue. It's going to
that's the sort of thing where, like, yeah, I know he went to Barcelona and whatever, fine, because he wanted to continue his career, which is
but they would have. He probably would have stayed, but City was like,
yeah. But nonetheless, the fact that he didn't get to go out on his own terms is always tragic, right? Yeah. But the fact that he, like, after a year, he would have signed like a 1-day contract with City or some shit and come back and done the whole thing, right? And so he didn't get that moment. And I feel
he did score 2 goals in his final game for City.
He did. And then didn't he miss the penalty on that one too for the hat trick?
Maybe. Who knows?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, let's get to our season.
Let's get on to the on-field conversations.
And Chelsea blowing it. I mean, they first half completely dominate Everton.
Yeah.
Mason Mount playing the false 9 that's been going around. It's Pulisic, Mounts have Ziyech. Mason Mount has 6 shots on target, 4 on goal, misses the first 3, scores 1 in the 70th minute. He looks like he's been scoring goals. He should have had 3 more. I think Chelsea and City have the same problem. Actually, no, they don't. They don't have the same problem. But Chelsea, that first month is now gone where they were clinical. Now they just can't score goals.
Well, hold on. And speaking of the theme of the show, we do need to say that Chelsea were missing Lukaku, Werner, Hudson-Odoi, and Chilwell. And Havertz is but they all tested positive, and Havertz is quote unquote unwell. Now he played, and he played quite well from what I could tell. But I mean, look, even a team with the depth of Chelsea, if you're going to take those 4 players out of the lineup, that's going to leave a little bit of a mark. You've got attacking talent on attacking talent. I understand,
dude,
and they should have
won this game.
3.
I mean, they got 10 shots on target. Mount in and of himself should have scored 3. But they didn't. It was 0-0 at halftime, and Benitez. Everton, whatever the lineup is, it's a 5-4-1. They're not even fucking around. They're sending a guy named Ellis Sims, a 21-year-old who's never had a first team appearance. They're sending Jared Braithwaite, who I've never heard of. The legendary John Joe Kenny. I don't know where England comes up with John Joes, but there's one too many. Because we'll talk about John Joe Shelby later. And they just rally the troops. They on the bench, they have two goalkeepers because they don't have enough players, and they get the draw. Benitez gets a legendary performance out of Everton, who, while they don't have many shots, they do have 3 on target and 1 score. So second half, they do have a couple of things on the break, and good for Everton, good for fucking regressing to the mean. Again, Conte didn't play, and Chelsea didn't have a clean sheet. I sense a theme here, and they are sputtering, having only won 2 of their last 5 with 2 draws and a loss in between. So they are slipping. This
is again, all right. And I said this about the West Ham match. I said it about the Zenit match, which was a difficult play for them, right? In the last game of the Champions League group. Champions find ways to win these games. Many other teams find ways to not draw or lose, right? To not win them, essentially. City or Liverpool, that's the difference. That is the quintessential difference in the table right now is that City or Liverpool gets 3 points out of this game from Everton, and Chelsea gets 1. Now, this is all this means, and I feel like I sound like a broken record, but
we talk about the same things.
That Chelsea is just not at it as far as the championship caliber in the Premier League.
Now,
that
doesn't mean they're incredible. It just means that Liverpool and City
that's what I'm saying. They are not on that level. And that's not really to take anything away from Chelsea.
It's really tough. It's like,
but yeah,
what's the similarity? It's like kind of like late 90s, early 2000s Red Sox Yankees. Like the A's were good. They should have won a title, but they were not the Yankees and the Red Sox.
No,
and they were never going to beat them ever. Or the Twins, right? Those were good teams that made the playoffs every year. And they just were like, yeah, no, I can't with these guys.
This is a good segue into Arsenal West Ham, but Chelsea are 4 points behind City now.
Yeah.
And they're 8 points ahead of Arsenal. But watching everything sort of unfold, they feel like they're closer to Arsenal than they are to City, don't they?
No, I don't agree with that. So? I feel like they are. I think Tuchel is either in the lab or trying to figure it out. I think that he's got to get Lukaku into that lineup, and whether he likes it or not, his season is going to hinge on whether he can get Lukaku to score 10 more goals this year.
Right.
Because if he can't, they're not challenging. If he can, then they can ride out some of these games. I do understand they weren't really prolific even with Lukaku, but I think Lukaku is the answer to his scoring problems, because as a City fan who has these midfielders who buzz around and take shots and you feel good about it, and we can segue into City just annihilating Leeds, there's a different mentality in a attacking midfielder than a fucking striker who scores goals. Strikers who score goals don't care about the score. They only care about scoring. And midfielders who play only care about scoring pretty goals. Not just scoring goals, right? They're not maniacal. They're not crazy. You need that Ronaldo, that Kobe Bryant, that kind of like killer Tom Brady, like we're scoring, we're running up to score, we're going to kill you. And midfielders' mentality is not that. Strikers' mentality is, I will destroy you. We're up 4-1. I haven't scored. I'm scoring the fifth.
Yeah.
And City don't have that. Aguero had it in a very chill way. Thierry Henry had it. I want to kill you. I'm scoring. I'm going to rip your heart out. He fucking hated himself. Like, whenever you hear Henry talk about his dad and how he was trained, it was never good enough. And you could see it. He played with rage. Like, I fucking hate myself that I missed that. And if you're a good striker, that's how you should be, right? Ronaldo's pissed every time he misses one.
Whereas the City guys doesn't get the ball.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. The City players with all these 7 midfielders, nobody's pissed off. But we sort of give short shrift to City, and I do have to call out 2 players aside from Bernardo Silva. One is
Phil Foden.
Wow, whatever. Rodri has been incredible. He's thinner. He's faster. All of a sudden, remember I used to say he turned like a battleship? He somehow has become a frigate and just turns. He has now, after 3 years, taken the Fernandinho role. I feel safe with him there. He kicks ass. He's big. He needs to stop tucking his fucking shirt into his pants for him to be cool. But until that time comes, he's killer right now. So he's incredible. He gets a shout out. Kevin De Bruyne in this game, remember I've said, the Grealish buy was because I think De Bruyne's finished. De Bruyne is not finished. He literally looks 5 pounds lighter and was moving like a fucking deer. All of a sudden, the Ginger Ninja returned. He moved fast. His shots all had power. He was incredible this game. His 2 goals were both thunder cunts that could have destroyed and ripped off someone's head. He didn't even aim them. He shot them so hard that Meslier just was like, I'm not getting this. It's in. And City just romp, scoring Foden, Grealish, De Bruyne, Mahrez. Mahrez is cheap. It's deflection, barely moves. Kevin De Bruyne again. John Stones, who gets 3 chances and miss. And then Ake coming out of the woodwork because all the good players after the big scores came up got taken off. So Diaz got taken off at halftime. Bernardo got taken off for Gundogan.
I was surprised that they let De Bruyne play a full 90. I get that he needs the minutes, but
he needs to.
He needs the minutes, but he's also like, wouldn't you be afraid of like him getting hurt?
No, he was fine. And the thing is, I did go back and rewatch this game. Leeds were in the wrong places, but they were running. It's not like they weren't giving effort. They just were in the wrong place, and City just like
they always are.
I've never seen more runs out of defense than in this game. Like because they're man marking, they would just run through the field. So guys would run away, and either Rodri or Diaz would just keep going, run through the whole middle of the field because they're following their guys. They're like, Silva's not going to get us. We're going to man mark him. Okay. City's so good that they can just be like, okay, well, John Stones is just going to take the ball and run to the 18-yard box.
Yeah.
And the less talked about Leeds. Leeds are in trouble. Bielsa's going to have to get this team back together. We've seen with Southampton, when teams get beat like this, it can take time to recover. Mm-hmm. And they are in trouble. Another big thing for this is if this league title is going to be close, City needed these goals because they pull closer to Liverpool, only 2 goal differences behind. I think it'll go down to the wire again. It'll go down to the head-to-head. It'll go down to what happens during the African Cup of Nations. I wouldn't put it past Liverpool to not lose any of those games. It's easy. They're good.
Well, not only that, I think that's now in flux, if not probably off the table.
You think they're not going to go?
I don't think they're going to go. I don't think they have any choice.
The players may just want to go.
And that's possible. But what will happen, and it's actually very similar again to what the NHL is currently dealing with the Olympics, where there's
I wouldn't go to fucking Beijing if you paid me.
I just that aside, we're actually, and if they don't go, we won't get to see the greatest Canadian hockey player since Wayne Gretzky play for Canada until he's 29, by the way, which is a crime. Connor McDavid. Anyway, but yeah, it's similar to the point where they're going to need a 5-week quarantine period, from what I understand.
Oh, right. 2 to go and 2 to come back.
Yeah. And so, there's a couple of angles you can play there, but of course the teams don't want to lose them for that.
Here's the thing that's really annoying about the COVID stuff. There's different rules for different people. It's okay. Are you fucking 30% obese? You're fucking quarantining because you might die. Are you old? Yeah. Are you young and one of the top 5% of athletes in the world? You're fucking fine. Yeah. Just let the people who are healthy and in a healthy cohort live. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're not all fucking equal. They're in the Premier League. They're special. It's Mo goddamn Salah. People sing songs about him. Nobody sings anything about fucking Mike Salerno. Actually, we do.
That's actually not true.
Mike Salerno.
I was going to say, there's a few people. Friend of the show, Andy, my friends in Hartford, Connecticut, have a song about me drinking everybody's beer at the bar. So actually, you're very wrong that there are many people.
There's no songs about me.
There are no songs about Laurent Cortines.
Because I don't have a good name for singing it. It's too many syllables. It's French. It's awful. It sucks. So, I do wish that one day I'd get a song, and I hope that you and Chari will work.
We'll figure it out. We'll work on
it. But so I do want to go. After talking about City killing Leeds, pressure's back on Liverpool. They play today. They have no problem at Newcastle. The controversy in this one, and I hate this rule because it's not on the players. It's clash of heads. Players down for Newcastle. Takes a shot. Jota takes a shot. Takes another shot after the save. The guy's still on the ground. Goes in. Liverpool are not fucking obliged to stop the game. Sorry. There's no sportsmanship.
I was going to say, the only way to handle this and on a global scale is to say, sorry, right?
Yeah.
But the problem becomes,
guys,
and this is where we got so far away from things now, where everybody's an actor. If the event happens where it's like, hey, that guy's got a fucking serious head injury, right? I don't see many scenarios, unless it's literally right in the thick of the play, like on a corner kick or something, where you can't. continue the play and administer whatever if it's that urgent, right? Like I don't see how that is so required. But in doing so and saying, hold on, now you've got, like I said, everybody's an actor and everybody's
Yeah,
embellishing.
I don't begrudge Liverpool. The referee's there to adjudicate these things. If he sees a guy on the ground, blow the fucking whistle. Okay?
Or don't
Or don't. And they didn't, and he scored.
penalize that behavior, and that behavior will stop happening.
Well, they didn't do it. It's not in the rules. The player's allowed to play on. Jota
Yep.
scores a goal. Then Mane scores one later. Liverpool pull away. It's really not a problem. What was interesting about this game was Thiago was awful. He gave away a couple of really tough chances. Did give up a goal to John Joe Shelvey. Basically just gave it to him. And then Shelvey went into his little spot. Hammers at home. Allison didn't move. Incredible stuff there. But Liverpool keep pace. We know about Chelsea drawing. There's really not another team even sniffing it. And that takes us into this fake battle for the top four with our faux pretenders, Arsenal, who are technically in fourth place
currently
with
the spot.
3 games in hand. And 2 games in hand over Man United. We both expect United will get this spot, but stranger things have happened.
Oh, most certainly.
United are getting a new coach with new ideas, who's never coached at this level, and Tottenham have Conte, who is if nothing, an improver of teams.
Yes, and so that's where if you were to take the names associated with these teams away, and you look at what they actually are,
they're close.
Yes, but Spurs and United have the most upside because we don't know enough about what they are. The problem is that we know exactly what Arsenal is. The problem is that West Ham keep shouting from the rooftops, this is who we actually are, and we won't listen to them.
Yeah.
Wolves they're not up.
They're not there. They're not up for it. They can't.
Leicester is frankly, they're just a shell of who they used to be at this point. And now you're all the way at mid-table. So
but the news on Leicester is people are starting to be like, they need a good goalkeeper. It's starting to happen. I said it a month ago. I'm only using public fucking data. Why do I know this? And these idiot pundits, they literally don't look at shit. Like, I'm convinced that these pundits don't know that FB refs exists. Like, because I'm seeing whole YouTube channels that are dedicated to taking the free and available data and making scatterplot graphs and doing a 10-minute video about it. I'm like, it's in the fucking website.
Yeah.
I made one of these. They literally do a whole video on the difference between expected goals and goals for all players under 23. I'm like, yeah, it's a fucking graph. You can do it in Excel. It takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But they got 10 minutes of content out of it. It's funny. They do a whole thing. I could have told you that. Leicester are giving up too many goals.
You have told us that.
Leicester are giving up too many goals, and Wolves can't score because Jimenez cracked his skull open and is not the same player, and Traore can't shoot fish in a barrel, water in the side of a barn. I don't know. I'm getting them all mixed up.
Couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat is actually my favorite of the analogies.
What's the barn one? Can't hit the side of a barn.
Couldn't hit the side of a barn.
These fucking hillbillies and their goddamn sayings. So that happens. Interesting stuff in both those games where, Arsenal do get the win. They do beat West Ham. The first half was poor.
Oh, they battered them.
Yeah. West Ham was bad.
Yeah.
The first half was pretty bad, but then there was a bad yellow-red combo for Koufal. Martinelli put them ahead. Lacazette misses the penalty, but the Koufal foul was literally the most controversial you could see. It's a tackle in the box. He hits the ball, his ankle rolls over the ball, and he kicks Lacazette in the leg. He got the ball. It rolling over the ball. Over the ball is like over the shirt, kind of. Well, it's under the shirt.
It's under the shirt.
It's under the shirt. But on the ball is over the shirt, which is fine. But it was controversial. And the issue is, I think, that VAR, this is what it's for. And I think that not going to look is what gives you the problem, right? Like, this is a classic. the ref should make the call. He made the call that it was a penalty, but he should have at least looked. And that's where it gets tricky. Like, when do you look? When do you do it? Ba, 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 ba. Whatever the case was, you've seen them given. I'm okay. I don't want VAR, so fuck VAR. If it's a red, fine. That's fine with me. It was close enough that he should have been sent off. That was that. Game was over at that point. And, Arsenal beat a team at their level because I think fundamentally when two teams are close, the style is going to take them over the line. And I think at this point, with Lacazette and Odegaard, they really were able to flood the midfield, drop off the front line, and make it really work.
Mm-hmm.
Ramsdale made a huge save that saved them. Mikel Antonio, since he went to Jamaica, man, he's never come back.
No, he hasn't.
He scored 6 goals in the first 4 games, or 6 and 6, and hasn't scored since.
But he's always been sort of an annoyingly streaky player. So
he gets hurt and he plays.
And that's what I mean is that he's and when he's on form, he's great. But frankly, nobody in that West Ham team looks like anything right now. So
they're not getting anything extra.
To lay it at his feet, I'm much more concerned with where Declan Rice and Thomas Souček have gone.
I think the other issue is like it's Dawson, it's Issa Diop,
right,
and it's Masuaku. Their entire backline is different.
Yeah, there's no Zuma and there's no Cresswell, which were big misses. But yeah, I mean, I looked at that lineup and I thought, boy, West Ham plus 260 sounds spicy, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
Shout out to our buddy BJ, big fan of the pod.
Yeah.
He and I did some gambling this week. We did correctly call Villa, and which didn't feel that difficult. But I did think that there was a Dean Smith angle to it. We talked about it on the preview.
Mm-hmm.
And I threw in City because I was like, they're going to beat the shit out of them. So that was good. And then I lost it right back on West Ham. And I lost a little extra because I went back in on West Ham at halftime. So that's fun.
Yeah. So we'll touch on this sort of round out of the games that's following up. We talked about Villa. I'm in love with Steven Gerrard. I think the charisma is over the charts. They get a good win against Norwich. Norwich deserved to lose this game. They just defensively don't get into players. Literally, Ramsey runs through the whole of Norwich, scores an amazing goal. He literally said in his interview, I want to be like Steven Gerrard. I mean, oh, come on. Oh. Yeah. It's like 20 years old. I want to be like our coach, Steven Gerrard. And then Ollie Watkins put Villa up on a tap-in, but it was good movement. Ollie Watkins, a man in demand. Arsenal? Could he go to Arsenal? Could he go to City?
Like that.
He's not staying at Villa. Now, the question is, would Villa sell him for no reason? Probably not, but is he 70? If someone came to him for $70 million, would they sell Ollie Watkins? Absolutely, they would sell Ollie Watkins. Yeah. But he's the kind of player that I think is really good. I think there's a couple of good English strikers. I thought this while I was watching Chelsea. Englishness. I think they're missing my special intangible. I mean, I guess Rudiger has it. Maybe Rudiger has Germanness.
So Rudiger definitely has part of it, but I don't know. I
don't know. Something's missing.
Mount is the only English player on that team.
Wow, Reece James is English.
Sorry, right, Reece James.
Yeah, see, there you go. You didn't even think of him as English. That's what I'm saying.
Well, Loftus-Cheek played, but he's not. He's not.
He plays about.
Jorginho is positively feminine.
well, the thing is with Loftus-Cheek, he's 6'3" and he plays like he's tiny. And then you have Kante, who plays like he's a monster.
And all right, so here's where it is too. Chilwell he's got a finesse version of the Englishness relative to Alonso, who just drives around drunk all the time. Right, that's literally a metaphor for not him just being a murderer, but his outlook.
Did he kill
on the
someone
pitch
driving?
As well. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he killed a girl drunk driving, going like 70 and a 30 or something like that, and then paid a fine and walked away from it. That's actually what happened.
Yep. Oh, okay. Speaking of paying a fine and walking away, Wolves won, Brighton 0. I'm walking away from Brighton.
Oh no.
They got nothing sparkly. Mopé couldn't play because he was in the nefarious gray zone of protocol. So, without the bum toucher and bum Bandit.
The bum wiping bandit. There you go.
Yeah, Wolves get there. I mean, Wolves have a really, really good defense. Brighton are back to their XG winning ways without winning, and then Palace Southampton was probably the best game of the week.
Yeah,
really fun.
Well, wait a minute.
Crowd was loud. Borgia scored a really nice goal after a mistake from our new Lord and Savior, Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
And, Palace get a good draw after a really good win. But it doesn't feel like any of those teams is going to kick on out of that group. You kind of get the feeling that Palace, Brentford, Brighton, Everton, Southampton, Leeds are kind of one group. And then there's bottom four, Watford, Burnley, Newcastle, Norwich will just kind of fight it out to the death. Although Leeds taking that 7 puts them on minus 15, which hurts their tiebreakers because Burnley's got 2 games in hand. So they'll probably get 1 win out of 2, right?
So let's go back to Brighton for a second. Because I'm not letting you quit on them just yet. The reason now they've 0 wins in their last 5. They got 3 points from 5 games.
They have 8 draws in 11.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
They're incredible. Really
they have not won a game since September 22nd.
Okay, fine. But listen, they're extremely, extremely thin. And Lewis Dunk missing the game for 5 yellow cards didn't help either with the suspension.
God, I love him. I love Lewis Dunk. He's my hero.
You're missing isn't Lamptey out, right?
Let's see. No, Lamptey played. The problem is they had no center backs. Veltman, who's a winger, and Dan Burn, who plays fullback with a center backs.
Yeah,
they had no center
Lewis
backs.
Dunk, Shane Duffy.
Yes, they're all gone.
Basuma's suspended again for less nefarious things.
No. Basuma played.
Now he's suspended.
Now he's suspended. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you had Mopé out, Gross out, right there. That's most of your attacking prowess.
Yeah, and
Trossard, come on.
Yeah, they just didn't have their guys.
So
they're not good enough to not have their players, right?
That's what I'm saying, right? If you're talking about Brighton as the team that if they just had a striker, they'd be competing for the European places, not necessarily the Champions League. Then if they don't have their active supporting cast, the players they do have, they're overperforming and can't finish. Well, shit, then they're a relegation side, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing. And I don't believe that they're a bottom half team. I think that they're top half, like you predicted as well. But yeah, they're up against it right now. They do have a game in hand on a lot of the teams in the league, which is good. But I just want them to get healthier faster. I want everybody to, obviously. But
yeah, I mean so let's look at the draws, right? The draws, just from an XG perspective, there's 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 9 draws. Out of those 9 draws, they won the XG in 1, 2, 3 of them. The Leeds game was the big one. Yeah. So they could have had 3 more wins, which would have put them.
That's 6 points. That puts them in 7th place.
Yeah. See, it's that much difference, right? And and everything changes, right? Yep. And they could have easily gotten 3 more wins out of those games.
Exactly.
Like there's a million opportunities where those games could have been there. Now you could probably do that for any team, but 8 draws is a fuck ton, right? Palace has 8, Southampton has 8. And to me, when I think about draws, it always is in the manner of the draw, right? Like, are you getting lucky and hanging on? In the case of Brighton, they're fighting and just not scoring the goals, and then they give up a late goal to blow it. I mean, they got a couple of good draws where they pulled one out of their ass. The Mopé, the 2 for Mopé there. So they're still only at -3, but on 20 points. But like we said before, the whole central middle of the league, that whole group of from 8 to 14 is 5 points.
Yeah.
So it's fluid. The middle is big.
Well, that's what I mean. And I get it that their suspended game or postponed game is against Spurs, so it's not necessarily a layup.
I wouldn't say it's a layup, no.
Right. But if they were to have that 3 points, and if listen, we can do this because we don't know. We can pretend and we can assign points blindly, assuming games in hand. Yeah. If they win that game, which is certainly in the realm of possibility, they're in the group with all the other ones. They go from 13th to 9th. Yeah. Just like that, and a point behind Wolves.
Any of these teams in this pack go on a run, they push for Europe.
And the thing is it goes all the way up to fourth place with Arsenal. Okay.
Yep.
You're seeing them, Jekyll and Hyde. West Ham, mostly Hyde these days. And now you're basically seeing everybody else go back and forth. And going back to the conversation before that we had, Man United and Tottenham have the biggest upside because we just don't know what they're going to look and feel like yet. And I said it a week or so ago. Every day that Tottenham doesn't play is a day that they get to train or future down the line with Conte. They have basically more Conte, right?
Yeah. Well, they haven't been training. This is the part that sucks about the COVID. They're probably not
necessarily,
or they're faking it. Who knows what they're doing?
Well, no, I'm not even saying that they are or they aren't. They get more time down the line. The training sessions before games matter more than the midweek training sessions where you're just fucking around, right? So that is what I mean. They're going to have more beneficial time further down the line this season because of the days and games missed during the most congested part of it, right? So, and that's kind of why I'm really, and I want to pivot to this weekend's games. I'm really interested in how they'll look against Liverpool. Do I expect anything? Fuck no, of course not. But if they're at home, it's going to be a primetime game. It's the 5:30 start on Sunday, the evening Sunday game. I do think that they could show up.
Here's the issue that they have, right? The Tottenham backline cannot hang with Salah.
No.
It's gonna have to be like a heroic performance from Davies.
No, I don't believe that. I think it's going to be a heroic performance from the players who go win you football matches. Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, right? Like they're going to have to win a game 3-2 or 2-1, I could say. Maybe.
Well, they can. They're going to play it like they're trying to win it 1-0 because they're going to give up goals, but they've got to score when they have to do Mourinho style.
Well, no, okay, sure, but
they have in terms of clinical,
they need to be Tottenham versus City that you fucking hate so much. 2 chances, 2 shots on goals, 2 goals, right? Like shit like that. They likely won't have a lot of the ball, but they will have opportunities. I promise you that. So,
yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's one of these games. They've got to take on a bit more Conte personality.
And that's my point. Yeah. Is that this is realistically the first game that they'll be playing for Conte in 2 full weeks. Granted, I'm not saying that they're completely rested. I think they're mostly rested, especially if they were ready to go on Thursday. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, their last game was December 5th against Norwich, and just before that against Brentford, right? So they're coming off of 2 games with an aggregate score of 5-0 against opponents you should be beating. And now you've got, again, they've had more training time. Is everybody training that entire time? No, they're not. But they're soaking it in. They're getting more of the philosophy, more of the personality, like you said, right? They're going to embody that. And I do think at home, they have something to offer Liverpool. So they'll probably be huge underdogs this weekend. I have not looked at the line. But I would take a flyer on them. I think that they could nick a result here. The other thing is that Liverpool are playing a game every 3 days also, right?
Yeah, so they've been playing.
They've been playing a lot. So yeah. I think you could, and says the homer, I get it. But I think that most teams go into the festive period going, if we have 10 games, we're not coming out with 30 points. We're not coming out with 27 points. For City and Liverpool, 27 points is not unrealistic at all, right? Yeah. But I do think that you go, there's going to be some landmines in here, and we're going to step on them, and we're going to grow as a team. We're going to get past them. This could be a landmine.
God, Tottenham has not gotten a result versus Liverpool since 2018.
The game at Wembley, I think, where they basically ended Dejan Lovren's career.
2-2 at Anfield.
Oh, that's the Wanyama game.
Is that what that is?
Yes, that was the Wanyama game where the late penalty to Kane, where he had 2 penalties.
You haven't beat them since let's see. The last win was at Wembley. You're right. In 2017.
They shattered. That was the first year Klopp was the coach, I believe, and it was hysterical.
Right, I remember that game. It's Dejan Lovren trying to header ball, whatever.
Yeah.
The thing
King carved.
The thing that's really fucking sad is half the players are still from that team.
I know. I don't want to talk about it.
Sanchez is there. Winks is there. Son is there. Harry Kane is there. For
Yeah.
Liverpool, they still had Salah, Firmino, and they still had Coutinho. The whole midfield is new.
I think that was before they sold him on like the transfer deadline, like early September. But anyway, early August. Anyway, I feel good about that game. I feel better than I should. And you know why? Because I haven't had to watch Tottenham in 2 weeks. That's why.
Yeah, they haven't hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
You haven't been appalled by them. I just afraid for Eric Dyer. He's just so shit.
No, I'm not. Again, first of all, I'm not here saying like, oh, I think no, Liverpool are comfortably the favorite and should be, but I think there are reasons to kind of not look past Spurs here. But we've got a couple other good games too.
Well, Chelsea Wolves, the way Chelsea are playing right now, they're not scoring against Wolves.
Well, the question is who's going to play, and because we said Lukaku and Hudson-Odoi and
they got enough players, man. That's Chelsea.
They do.
They here's what they could do. Come January, be like, we're bringing all the boys back in. Fuck it.
Hey, Crystal Palace, here's $1 million for breaking the loan.
That would be fucked up. They should not do that.
That would be fucked up.
But anyway, Burnley, Aston Villa, the last.
Wait, so what's the deal with Conte?
I don't know.
Because he's not listed as injured.
Maybe he's just getting back up to scratch after. I think maybe he had COVID. I don't know what the story is with Conte.
Yeah,
but he'll be back hopefully, and I think if he's back, they'll give it a clean sheet. I think this is a chance for Wolves. Chelsea won't give up shit to Wolves because Wolves can't score, but Chelsea won't score against Wolves either. City play Newcastle. That is a game. If you want to go to my YouTube channel, you will see a man distraught and broken and destroyed from 2019 December. That is a game where the first 3 seconds of the video, I go, season's over. We just lost a league. It's a classic post-game death moment. City had just lost 2 in a row. They were 7 points behind Liverpool, and they came back, and that is the game January 3rd at the Etihad, the John Stones game.
The John Stones game, yeah, off the line.
I talk about it. I get goosebumps, and I cried at my desk, and I was looking for people to hug, and nobody knew what happened because I was just working in a regular job. Because I was watching it. I was like,
Leeds Arsenal is watchable because there's only so few games, and same with Villa Burnley. We have another claret and blue clash.
Oh god.
I'm bummed.
The thing is, Arsenal's going to beat Leeds. They should.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
They should. They have the skills to beat Leeds, but Leeds they're tough. Yeah. I don't know. I still trust them, and I don't know why. I don't want to trust them.
We've got 2 games on Saturday. I couldn't give a shit about either of them. And it bothers me. It makes me sad, right? But it makes me sad that not so much to bring the show all the way back around to the topic. I'm bummed out that we're still here. And I'm bummed out that there's so many different elements and variables to this. And we seem to have come all the way back to square one. I had seen Thomas Frank was saying we need to just put a pin in this right now. And like I think you said, Robbie Musto said, let's stop the games for a week.
No, don't. Just keep going because it's not going to help. It doesn't matter.
Do we really have selective memory that we can't remember March of 2020 when everybody was, whoa, hey, we have no fucking idea what's going on here. Let's stop. 10 days, 2 weeks. I know.
Yeah, but now we know. We have people aren't dying anymore. What are we doing?
But Nina, do we really not remember when we all said, nope, 100%, that makes total sense. Okay, this is going to be shit, but let's take care of things first, and then let's get back on the field and get it back on with our lives. Do we really not remember that? So we're literally having numerous talking heads and prominent figures going back around to this. And it bothers the shit out of me. And again, like you said, it is less of a threat for a couple of reasons. One, the majority of people in this world have some active defense at it, whether it be a vaccination, whether it be
whatever
antibodies or actual treatments to things.
Yeah.
So it's discouraging to say the least. And I'm not sitting here trying to build a fence and say, get on one side of it. I'm just sitting here saying we have 10 games a week and now we only have 5. And this is a show about football. This is a show about fixtures. This is a show about on-field games and the differences in cultures, right?
And World War II.
As I sit here in Florida and you in California, that's about as different as we can get right now, right? And
I didn't know DeSantis was going to form a fascist guard. 20 states already have
it. Yeah, and so it's really not about trying to put people on other sides of the fence.
You know what, Mike?
This show has always been about,
what we're going to do.
We're going to watch football.
We are going to reform the Black Panthers on this show.
Oh, God.
We're going to do it in blackface. But we're going to be so BLM that the BLM are not going to be able to handle it. It's going to be amazing.
Are you talking about like Robert Downey Jr. doing a character who's in blackface in Tropic Thunder? Like as a tribute?
Yes. For love. Out of love.
Out of love. Okay.
Right. And we're only going to have people of African American descent on the show with us.
That makes sense. That's fair.
And I love my black friends. Arkeem Harris, my friend Rock Belushi, who did this show so much of a media mogul, and we only have 5 minutes. He did public access television shows in New York City on Manhattan Cable in his 20s as the Rock Belushi Show because he loved The Rock and John Belushi. The man was incredible. His podcast was incredible, and I love him. And I think it's his birthday today. So shout out to you, Arkeem Harris, my dear friend. Who's the last of the Black Americans who likes baseball and makes his kids play baseball.
Love it. Well, happy birthday, Arkeem. Let's get out of here before you get us fucking canceled, will you?
Yeah, that was amazing. That was the Squeaky Bum Time podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays. We do not do anything in blackface. That was a joke. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you are listening on Apple or any other podcast platform, please rate and review the show because it really helps. And happy birthday, Arkeem.